All right, Shawn right here with Flex Wheeler from Monday Night Muscle Special for the New York Pro here in Tampa with the winner, 2021, Nick Walker. Nick, we had you on the show this past week.
Yes.
We were talking about some previews. You said you were drowning out the noise, and all you wanted to do was win in Florida and come back and do the Mr. Olympia. How does it feel to be victorious?
Oh man, it's an incredible feeling right now. You know, I did exactly what I set out to do. Me and Matt, you know, we went back to work right after Chicago. We made the improvements we needed to make. We practiced the posing that needed to be practiced. Still needs work to be done, but we improved drastically in Chicago. So now it's time to improve even more for the Olympia, baby.
Right on. So you say you have more work to be done. What do you feel you want to change in this preparation, getting ready for the Olympia, your first Mr. Olympia?
I definitely want to still continue to come in tighter and harder. I want to put on a little more size in the necessary area.
More size?
I think my upper chest still needs a little bit. Still, I think my outer quads could be a tight, more rounders, more back. I never have too much back. And there's still certain poses I want to continue to practice and perfect as well.
Well, it's very interesting because it was not too long ago, 1993 to be exact, that this guy right here was the Rookie of the Year, won his first 4 professional shows.
Go get it.
And went right into the Olympia and got second place. So what are your aspirations going into the Olympia? Let's try to get a realistic prediction in the next 5 months to get ready for this show.
If I'm going to go with the way I am, I expect nothing less than top 6.
All right, and that's pretty reasonable for a first time out.
Very reasonable, I think. Yeah.
The rubber match with Blessing, it didn't seem to come to fruition here. What do you got to say about Blessing?
Listen, you know, Blessing, I think, has a very bright future. You know, we talked backstage. We even talked. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's very nice. He's actually very humble. I just think he needs some time under his belt, but he has a great structure, and I think if a few years down the road, he's definitely going to be a force.
Well, enough about Blessing. It's all about you, man. You had an amazing crowd here, your family and everything. What is it like to have such support and be able to win in front of them and bring it home after all this hard work?
For them to be here to witness this moment probably means more to me than winning this does, you know, because even though this is technically what everyone says a lonely sport, without them, I wouldn't have won this today. So yeah, this means the world to me that they're here.
We were talking with your mom earlier, and we were telling her that you were right there in the hunt to win, and she said it's not over till the fat lady sings because you've been there before in Vegas. Yes, she thought you would actually won there.
Yeah. We thought in 2019 when I did USA's, we thought we had that in the bag. So she always carries that with her no matter what. If it comes down at the final 2, she's like, it's not over yet. It's not over yet.
You had a little bit of an advantage because you got a chance to watch the champion from a week ago, Justin Rodriguez, knowing what he looked like coming into this show. Did he deliver? Was he exactly what you expected?
He was. I actually think, no disrespect, but I think he was actually more better at Chicago when we competed, to be honest. But again, Justin, he came ready to fight. We came ready to battle. And, we both put on a show together.
You definitely did. So, listen, you got tons of people here. Before we end this, we want to give you the floor to say thank you to everybody, your sponsors, your family. The floor is yours.
So first, I want to say thank you to my family, first and foremost, my mother, my father, Matt, my coach, he's considered family, Dom, the owner of my supplement companies. These guys they're not just people that sponsor me, they're family. Like, they look after me, they take care of me, they make sure I'm headed down the right path. And again, I wouldn't be here without them. So that being said, I also want to thank my sponsors, Revive and Raw, Prime Fitness, Made to Macros, Fat Boys Cookies, Young LA.
That's a lot of sponsors.
Yeah. You've joined a lot of guys that have won this competition, and we're going to see you in a few short months in Orlando.
Absolutely. What are we, like 20, 21 weeks at Olympia?
Who's counting?
I don't know.
You are.
I'm counting. I got it. It's time, baby. Yeah. Monday, we're back on the grind for it.
All right. Well, that's wrapping it up here in Tampa, Florida for the New York Pro Championships for the second straight year. I think next year, this time, things will normalize itself. We'll wind up back in New York. Nick Walker, there's a lot of adjectives we can say. The future looks very bright for a 26-year-old. One of the concerns I heard from some of the people we were talking to is this guy peaking too soon? Like, is he maxing out at such a young age that in 5 years we will have seen the best of Nick Walker, or is he just getting started? What's your take on that?
I think he's just getting started. If you compare him to athletes of his age, they would think so, but if you go back to our age, that's what we were doing. We were just killing it. We were nailing shows, so I don't think so whatsoever. It seems like he has a very mature head on his shoulder, and he has a huge sponsor, background behind him, his family and everything like that. So I don't think that's happening whatsoever at all.
Yeah, I think so far the kid's on the right track. He's taking his time as well. He gets a nice little break because the Olympia is going to be coming up in about 5 or 6 months, even though this is the shortest time because the Olympia is now in October, doesn't have the luxury of waiting until December. But he did put our boy Rodriguez, Justin, who's no slouch, by the way, in his rear view. And he's had a prediction. He says he's going to be in the top 6 of the Mr. Olympia. Now let's break down how realistic that could potentially be. So far, we haven't heard anything about Phil Heath coming back to the Olympia.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, he was 3rd a year ago, so he's out. We also don't know if Rolly Winkler is going to be coming back into it because he's an X factor. You throw his name into the hat. We don't know about Cedric McMillan. He could show up somewhere on the landscape of things.
Has he qualified?
We haven't heard anything, so that's another X factor.
Exactly. I don't know of him getting ready for the Cow Show at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything, so we can't put them on the radar if they haven't put themselves on the radar already, right?
Right, but we do know that Steve Kukla, who we had on the show earlier, is going to be trying to get back in there, and that show is going to be in Texas in August. So he's going to have some formidable people. Hunter Labrada is coming into his own as well. He's going to have to hold off some of these other guys that may qualify coming up at the Cal, coming up at the Chicago Pro, and again, we've got the Tampa Pro. So there's a few other guys that can get in there. But on paper, when you take Phil Heath out of that top 6 lineup from last year, it sounds like he has a realistic chance of getting in there.
No, definitely. And you know, Shawn, I mean, it's a bodybuilding show. So to me, it doesn't really matter what you've done the day before or the weeks before. It matters what you do on that stage there. So we can do lineups and matchups and all the time, but a lot of times when we pump somebody up like that, they don't even come to bring that to fruition and everything like that. So you got the Cal in a couple of weeks. Guys can change, just like Nick changed from losing and taking second. Those guys have an opportunity to change also. But I don't think it's unrealistic, and even more so, what he's supposed to say? Oh, I hope I make the top 10 or whatever. I mean, he's supposed to dream big, right?
Sure, absolutely. So where does that leave someone like Justin Rodriguez? Because a week ago he was in the victory lane. Now he's in 2nd place. Did he take a tumble, or was he up against stiffer competitors?
No, I think he was up against different competitors. I think there was a lot of talk and everything about with Nick coming into this show and everything like that. But I mean, this young man also can go to the Cal in a couple of weeks and better himself also. So,
would you advise that since he already qualified for the Olympia? Maybe shut it down?
No, if I was him, I would shut it down and just better myself. I'd go back, let the emotions die down, because I could tell he was a little disturbed here. And who comes to take second, right? Yeah. So he's supposed to be disturbed, but I would have him just go back, review the photos and everything like that, make assessments on what he can change, not what happened, but what he can change, and then go after it.
Yeah, and rounding out the top 3, Hassan. I mean, talk about big, talk about muscular and compact. He can't be all of 5'6", but he looks like he's 250 pounds.
Yeah, I had the honor of being able to work with him at his posing and everything like that, and I don't have anything to do with his diet, but it hurts because the guy just has so much pure potential. Yeah. I think he proved up here that even though he was outmatched as far as condition-wise, he outsized everybody, and if he brings that type of condition and shape, like he could show up at the Cal a couple weeks later, and he be able to bring that to a boil. But the sky's the limit for that kid. He has so much freaking muscle on him, and I was kind of wondering. I wanted to see what he compared against people like Nick, who were notable big guys, and he proved himself 100% there. What do you think?
I think he's just got to get a little bit harder. We were talking earlier. Somebody said he was doing upwards of two hours of cardio, which I was suggesting maybe he needs to do that, but clearly he's got thicker skin. And he's got so much muscle that he's going to have to drop some size. He's going to have to sacrifice size for conditioning.
He has tons of size to be able to sacrifice, too. That's the main thing about it. So definitely, definitely.
Well, it'll be interesting. What advice do you have for Nick Walker? He wins here, holds these guys off, qualifies for the Olympia. It's in his hometown, pretty much a stone's throw away from where he lives. What does he need to do going into the Olympia?
I think he made the right assessment on what body parts he needs to bring to the table, and also just being sharper. Listen, competing on this stage, competing on the Chicago stage ain't nothing compared to the Olympia. You got the big boys, and everybody's going to be putting turpentine on the brush fire. So I think he's very realistic. He needs to go back and just forget about everything that else happened, because nobody gives a damn about which shows you won before. I think he has the right assessment with that, and I can't wait to see what the Olympia is going to be all about, man. It's going to be hot.
Yeah, well, at 26 years old, he's arrived. He's the 2021 NYPro champion. We will see him live and in action at Orlando, and that lineup is just getting big. I believe the tickets are on sale right now for the Olympia. And act now, and make sure you check us out on next week's Monday Night Muscle. For Flex Wheeler, I'm Shawn Ray.